Hey, it's Dave, and somebody asked me, how do you check to see whether a gun is loaded? And that might seem like a really dumb question, but if you don't know anything about guns, I'm going to show you. And this all stems from the whole Alec Baldwin movie prop gun scenario. So here comes a gun. I don't want to scare you if you're scared of guns, but here comes a gun into the frame. This is a real gun. This is a 357 Magnum. It's a revolver. Now, the reason they call it a revolver, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up. I know it's loaded, but every time you pick up a gun, you should check to see whether it's loaded. So this one is loaded, and it's called a revolver because this revolves. Every time you fire it, it revolves and it goes to the next chamber. These are all called chambers. Most guns have 6 chambers, some have 5. There's probably some that have more, some that have less. So this gun is loaded. Here's what it looks like when it's not loaded. You can eject all of the bullets. And these are live bullets. These are not prop bullets. Why would I have prop bullets? And you can look and you can see right through there that it's not loaded. And you can also look in here. You can see there's nothing in there. This gun is absolutely not loaded. So when they went to see whether the gun was loaded, this is what they should have seen. This is an empty gun. What they absolutely had to have seen was at least this, at least one cartridge. We call it a cartridge. This is the bullet. The bullet is the end part. This is the whole thing together is the cartridge, and this is the casing. So what they would have seen is at least one chamber with a bullet with a cartridge in it. So what they might have done is carelessly opened it and not seen that one that was in there. So here I am looking at 4 of the chambers, and maybe if I spin a little bit, I could spin it and almost say, oh, if I look really quick, I might be fooled into thinking that all of the chambers are empty. But that would be really sloppy. So you look at this, and then here's another thing I'm going to show you. I'll just set this down for now. This on the end of, it's kind of hard to point out, on the end of the cartridge, I can't quite get it to focus, it looks like an O, and that is the primer. The primer, you can tell whether the primer has been shot before. It's a one-use thing if it's got a dent in the middle. This one you can't see because it's too far away, but you kind of can. There's no dent in the middle. That's how you can tell a spent cartridge. So there was all kinds of things they could have looked for when they picked up this gun. Number one, was there any bullet, any cartridge in any of the chambers? If they are, even if it's just one, that gun is a loaded gun. If all of the chambers were full, and all of the primers had a dent in the back. In other words, all of these O's in the middle had a dent in the middle. That means they are fired. I still would never hand anybody a gun that had to shoot and say, oh, this is okay to shoot because the primers have been used already. I don't know what a blank cartridge looks like. I don't. I'm going to guess it looks nothing like this. I think I've seen a little picture where it's like this just opens up and there's like, but there's something in there that blows up. There is something in a blank that explodes. I don't know what comes out when it explodes, but if it's at close range, I'm sure it can hurt somebody. So there's what I know, what I could tell you about loaded guns and primers and bullets. So anytime you pick up a gun, find out whether it's loaded. If you don't know anything about guns, don't pick the gun up. But if you do know something about guns, then you already know. Every time you pick up a gun, or sometimes when somebody hands you a gun and said, yeah, it's not loaded. No, here you go. Here you go, Dave. There you go. Have it. Is it loaded? No, it's not loaded. Well, I'm going to make sure. So I pop it open. I always make sure it's loaded. So there is my lecture, my presentation about loaded guns.